Oh yeah. All right guys, as a full disclaimer, I have never used one of these before, but today we're going to be reviewing the Vevor CUT-50P Pilot Arc Plasma Cutting. Now this is like a little miniature torch which cuts metal really well. And like I said, I've never used one before. I've heard about them a long time ago. Thought they were always super expensive. Well, this is a very cost-efficient one, around $200. And if you're interested, I'll put links down below in the description for you guys to pick one up after watching this video. But I wanted to show you in this video what it's like for a non-experienced user of one of these to use this to cut metal. I have a few different thicknesses of metal here to use. We're going to be making a burn barrel with this thing to see if it cuts through this with this being painted and rusty. We're going to try it on 120 volt and also 220 volt to see what thicknesses we can cut with that. And like I said, if it doesn't go 100% as planned, then you'll see my experience with it. And if you see anything that I'm doing wrong or anything that can make these cuts better, if you've ever used one of these, please comment down below and let me know. Let me know your tips and tricks to getting the settings just right, because like I said, I'm learning and hopefully you're learning with me. So let's get into cutting some metal. We got 1/8 inch metal here. We're gonna try first. I'm on 120 volt right now. We have 1/4 inch and then we also have 1/2 inch. And this is the max that this thing is supposed to cut up to. And then I have a piece of aluminum I might try too, because this will cut stainless steel, aluminum, steel, all different types of metals. So let's get into it, guys. So right now I have the front of the cutter set to 40 amps and the air pressure is right around 55 PSI. Oh, nice. Very nice. And like I said, it zipped right through that. That's 110 volt. We're going to try this 1/4 inch now. And I think I need to turn something up. Cutting through pretty good. But I think I might have to turn some of the settings up for it to go through that. Maybe the air pressure. And I did put this on 50 amps, but it blew my 20 amp breaker. So let's go ahead and try it on 40. Let's try a whole nother cut next to it. And I blew my breaker. We're gonna try this one more time at 35 amps. And I'm gonna slow my speed down here. So actually that time it did it, it cut through. I think the dross or the scaling that was underneath was actually what was holding it together, but it actually cut through that time, no problem, on 35 amps, and just slowing it down a little bit, turning the air pressure up some. So like I said, settings are going to matter on this thing. Like I said, I'm a newbie, so just wanted to show you my experience. We're going to go ahead and switch over to 220 now and see how that works. Let's try this again on the 1/4 inch first. I have it set at 50.8 amps, about 75 PSI, and now we're on 220 volt. Let's see if it goes through any better. Like butter. Nice cut. A little bit of dross on the back there, but that should knock right off. Now let's try the 1/2 inch. And not sure how good this is going to work being painted and rusty. They said this is supposed to work through paint, so we're going to see. This is painted and rusty. It's pretty much through. If I slowed it down a little bit, it probably would have been perfect. All right, so it cut through there. It looks like more than 1/2 inch, but I measured it. It says 1/2 inch. It does cut through it. I turned my air pressure up higher to about 90. And I think maybe that's what the problem was the air pressure, but it will cut it. It just gets a little finicky, in my opinion, on these thicker metals. So now let's make a burn barrel. Dang, that cut right through that barrel. That's crazy. That's crazy. Made quick work of that. All right, everyone, as you can see, it cut through that burn barrel like butter. I was very impressed and very surprised of how easy it cut through there. Now, yeah, that wasn't very thick material, but if you're making burn barrels, then one of these is definitely awesome to have. All right, now I'm gonna try to cut this aluminum. I don't know if it's gonna cut because it's painted pretty good. This is kind of thick aluminum here, but we're gonna try it. It is cutting through it, but I feel like the air is pushing the liquid aluminum basically back into the groove, and it's kind of filling it back in. So I'm sure that I'm doing something wrong. Probably my technique. There we go. Yeah, I think I was just going too fast. But cut right through aluminum, no problem. That was on 30 amps though, so let's try 50 amps. Oh, right through like butter. I mean, right through it. No problem whatsoever. Let's finish this line out. Perfect. All right, now we're gonna try to cut through this aluminum car rim here and see if it'll do it. This is about 1/4 inch thick, and it looks like cast aluminum. That's pretty amazing. So as you can see through the thicker metals, I still may need a little bit more practice, but it did cut through pretty easily by the time I got to the end piece and cranked the voltage up to 50 and turned the air pressure up a little bit. So like I said, I still have a little bit of playing around to do. If you have any suggestions of easier ways or ways I can get better results, please leave those down below in the comments. But very impressed with this, cutting that aluminum rim, cut through that like butter, cut through the other aluminum, cut through some thicker steel. I mean, for $200 or somewhere around there, this thing is pretty awesome to have for certain scenarios like that. So now when you get this thing out of the box, you get your user manual, you get an air hose, ground clamp, NEMA 650R to standard 120 volt. That's what allows you to run on 220 or 120. Pressure regulator, but the pressure regulator is an MPa, not PSI, so you may want to update that if you don't want to do some calculations. You get 2 cable holders that attach to the top to allow you to wrap your cables up nice and neatly. Teflon tape, an AG60 cutting torch, 2 cutting guides, 2 spare tips and 2 spare electrodes. Now I did notice that those tips and electrodes are pretty easily available on Amazon, so those are items you're going to need to replace over time. If you're interested in picking up spares for this, I will leave a link down to those as well, and also the link to the Vevor plasma cutter as well. So on the front of this unit, pretty easy to adjust. You have your control knob here to control your amperage from 20 to 50 amps. I did notice it reads a little high. You can't really get down to 20. It's a little higher than 20 and it goes a little higher than 50. You have 4 things on the front here to attach your cables. Now they do sell another version called the CUT-50. It's not the Pilot Arc version, and that version does not have this pilot prong here. So if you want this version, make sure you get the one that has the 4 on the front here. On the back of the unit, you have your pressure regulator here. And like I said, MPA on this gauge, so not really ideal for the United States. Really would have been nice to see a PSI gauge there, but you could probably change that out if you wanted to. Now the air hose on this did seem a little bit too big for the barbed fittings. It didn't go on very tightly, but once I put 2 hose clamps on each end, which they do supply, tightened them up really well, haven't had any leaks whatsoever, and I did have to supply my own fitting over here for my air compressor so that it matched, because they don't give you that fitting there. So you'd have to find a way to connect it to your compressor. But other than that, guys, first time for using one of these, very impressed. I know when these things first came out, they were very expensive, and I was at Harbor Freight the other day, and the ones they had, the 120 volt version was still like $300 or $400, and the 220 volt version was like $900, which is crazy because this thing is only around $200. And if I can get a coupon for it, I'll put that below as well. So if you're interested in picking one of these up, please check out the links below. They will be affiliate links and it will help support the channel. If you've ever used one of these and you have any tips or tricks, please put them down below to teach me to cut a little bit better and maybe to help some others out as well. And if you found this content enjoyable or just like this video and found it interesting, please check out some of my other videos if you want to learn about e-bikes, solar panels, power stations, fixing things, building things, things like that. And I will see you all around on the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone.